talk about the first Greek civilization. So we're going to talk about the early Greeks, and then we'll even talk about Homer and his epic poems of the Iliad and the Odyssey. Uh, those deal with the Trojan War and the aftermath of the Trojan War. So we will get into all that, and so lots to do today. All right, here we go. All right, so the impact of geography. So Greece consists of a mountainous peninsula and many islands. Okay, there's a ton of islands all around Greece. So mountains and the sea were the most important geographical influences, and the many mountain ranges are going to cause small independent communities to develop different ways of life. So they were kind of isolated, and this is why we see in Greece the city state. Okay, so they're not really big empires, but they're smaller city states like Athens, Sparta, Thebes, those city states, and then they develop different cultures because they are isolated. Okay, so their size and independence probably encourage political participation within and war among the different communities. So they were participating within their own community, but also warring with the others. Greece has many ports, many inlets and islands, and so they became very good seafarers, very good sailors, basically. And so they sailed into the Aegean Sea, into the Black Sea, and all throughout the Mediterranean seas. And they made contact with the outside world and set up colonies and trade. Okay, so this next one, we're looking at a map here of Greece. So you can see all the different islands that I was talking about, okay, all the different inlets, okay? These are inlets here. And so there's a lot of different places all around that they need to travel by water, okay? So that's why they became such good sailors. And you can also see, once again, the mountains. So you can see there's lots of mountains, and so this is going to it's going to keep the city states more isolated because it's hard to cross mountains. Okay. So 2800 BC, the Bronze Age civilization, or there was a Minoan civilization that was established on Crete. And this is named after the legendary king of Crete, Minos. So it was called the Minoans by the British archaeologist Arthur Evans, who discovered the ruins there. And so Crete is this island right here. Okay, so it's this longer island just south of Greece. And it's going to flourish between 2700 and 1450 BC. And Evans discovered the remains of a rich trading culture based on seafaring at the city of Knossos. And the Minoans sailed to southern Greece and Egypt. Okay, so they would sail up here, and then Egypt being right down here, and so they traded with all those folks. So there was an elaborate palace at Knossos that had many brightly colored living rooms, workshops for making vases, ivory figurines, and jewelry, and then bathrooms with drains. So they had indoor bathrooms. And they had giant jars of oil, wine, and grain that held the taxes that were paid to the king. So they didn't have money specifically, so people paid in the things that they had, so the actual goods. And so they're going to suffer a major catastrophe around 1450 BC. And some believe that it was a tidal wave that was caused by a volcanic eruption on the island of Thera. But others say it was destroyed by an invasion of the mainland Greeks known as the Mycenaeans, who we'll talk about in just a moment. Okay, but either way, the Minoan civilization gets destroyed. Okay, so the Mycenaean civilization is going to thrive between 1600 to 1100 BC and was made up of an alliance of powerful monarchies. They lived in a fortified center within large stone walls. So the rest of the people lived outside the walls. And so there's a big palace, big large fortified palace, and everybody else lived on the outside. So the Mycenaeans were known for their warrior culture. So they had murals that showed hunting and fighting, and they also developed an extensive commercial network. So they traded a lot. So their pottery was one of the big things that they traded, could be found all throughout the Mediterranean. So they traded extensively. And they conquered some of the Greek islands and perhaps even Crete. Okay, not 100%. It was tidal wave, or if it was these guys that took the Minoans down. So, but they are creating what's as close to this time as an empire in Greece. So the most famous of their supposed military adventures comes to us in the poetry of Homer. That's not Homer. That's Homer Simpson. But according to Homer, the Mycenaeans sacked the city of Troy, and that's on the northwest coast of modern Turkey. So here's modern day Turkey, or I'm sorry, Greece right here. This right here is modern day Turkey, and Troy sits right here. That's called the Dardanelles, right through here, and it connects to the Black Sea, so it's a pretty important site right here. But Heinrich Schliemann, he was a German archaeologist. He's going to excavate Troy. And some believe that Homer's account is based in fact, but no one's really certain because archaeology, like we've explained before, is just a lot of guessing. So the Mycenaean states are going to begin to war with each other, and earthquakes are going to damage their civilization, and then it'll collapse around 1100 BC. After new waves of invaders are going to move into Greece from the north. So those Indo-Europeans are going to come down into Greece and take over. Oops. That's Homer. That's real Homer. Okay. 1100 to 750 BC in Greece is called the Dark Age because there's not a whole lot of records there. So the population and food production is going to fall during this time. And around 850 BC, farming will revive, and then the basis of a new Greek civilization will begin. It's also during this Dark Age, though, that many Greeks are going to immigrate to the west coast of Turkey to what's called Ionia, and that's FYI, that's where Troy is. Okay, so the Aeolians are going to settle in northern Greece and colonize Lesbos up there. And then the Dorians are going to establish themselves in the Peloponnesus. So that's in the Peloponnesus, that's at mountain range, and then the southern Greek islands. And so iron is going to replace bronze. So they're going to move into the Iron Age during this Dark Age, and that's going to massively improve weaponry and farming. Okay, so let's talk more about Homer. So the works of Homer are going to appear near the end of the Dark Age, and there's two great epic poems. So you have the Iliad and the Odyssey. And an epic poem is a long poem that tells a story of a great hero's deeds. So we've already talked about epic poems a little bit with the Epic of Gilgamesh. That's also an epic poem from ancient Sumer. But these stories were passed down for generations, and then Homer wrote them down in these epic poems. So the Iliad, it takes place during the Trojan War. And this is what the movie Troy is based on, okay? So Paris, who's a Trojan prince, kidnaps Helen, who's the wife of the king of Sparta. So the Mycenaeans, who are led by Agamemnon, who also happens to be the Spartan king's brother, they're going to lay siege to Troy for 10 years. And then finally, they're going to take the city with the Trojan horse. So the Trojan horse was a horse that they built that was supposed to be a gift to Poseidon, because the Mycenaeans made it look like they had left Troy. And then the Trojans brought the horse into their walls, and then it was hiding a bunch of soldiers. And then those soldiers came out at night and then destroyed Troy. So the Iliad is more about the destruction caused by the anger of the Greek hero Achilles. Okay, so if you watch Troy, this guy right here is Achilles. That's Brad Pitt. He plays Achilles, and he's like the main character basically of the story of the Iliad. Okay, so most of the Iliad follows what Achilles is doing. And then the Odyssey tells the story of the Greek hero Odysseus and his 10-year journey home to his family. So Odysseus is in, if you ever do see the movie Troy, he is played by Sean Bean. He's right here. Okay, that's him in Troy. But both of Homer's poems give the Greeks an ideal past and a set of values, courage and honor being the most important values to Homer. And they were used to educate Greek males for generations. So fathers, it was their job to have their sons memorize all of Homer and to learn to act well and be virtuous men. So it was the father's job to make sure that their sons grew up to be um, more like Achilles and Odysseus than like an Agamemnon. Okay, so the Greek hero struggled for excellence, or arete, which is it just means a struggle. So this is something that is won in a struggle or contest. And then through fighting and protecting family and friends, the man preserves his and his family's honor. And they also win an honorable reputation, which is that sign of arete or excellence. Okay. All right. And that's it for today. Don't forget to do your processor, and you guys all have a good day.